Okay, this is part 2 of the water pipelines video tutorial. So we've got the representation of the city A and city B and the pump P here in the graphics 1 screen. And then we've got this point E, which you can see is dependent on the position of the pump right there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a graph of the relationship between the distance from C to P and the length of the pipeline. We're going to put it in graphics 2, so you have to make sure you click on this and get this bold. Now I could, it's going to be a function, and I'm going to use function notation, but you can see here that the letter F has already been used, so if I did f of x, it would think it was this segment. G is already used, so I guess I'll just use H. You can use any name for a function. So we use h of x, x being the variable, and square root AC squared plus x squared. And we're going to add that to square root of BD squared plus D. Now remember in the last video we actually created this D, which is the distance CD. So D minus x squared. So you've got the D minus x in brackets there, and then that's all in brackets for the square root thing. Symbol. Okay, so there we go, and we've got the graph there. Now this is all this graph is dependent on these lengths here, so you can see what happens when we move A. That changes the graph. And if we move B, it changes the graph. And also, likewise, if we move D, it changes the graph also. So this is very interactive. Now if we move P, it moves E along here. Now this is an optimization task, and we're trying to minimize distance. So we can use the minimum function. So again, I have to make sure that I'm clicked on the graphics 2 area, and go here. Actually, I didn't need to click on that at all. I'll show you why. So if I go min, you get this list of commands here. I'm going to use this minimum, and the function is going to be h of x, and the start value, well, what we really care about is the area between, the part of the graph that's between here and, well, all the way to when P gets up to D. So the start value will be 0, because you can imagine this CP, this is when it equals 0, and we want it to go all the way till when it reaches D. Now we've already we've named this distance CD as D here, so we can put that as the end value. There's your minimum. Oh, and I screwed up because I had clicked in this area here, and I didn't click back in there. So I'm going to undo that, Control Z, and we're going to try it again. So I'm going to highlight this. Oh no. And now everything is screwed up. Let's see what happens here. There we go. You can grab and you can manipulate these. There we go, now we're back to normal. Okay, so I'm back in graphics 2. Min h of x 0 d, enter, and I get that minimum point. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that minimum point. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to change the properties so that instead of showing the label F, I'm going to it's going to show the value. And you can see that now I have the value of that, and I can drag this around once if I have a pointer. So I'm going to drag that down here. Now this E, I'm not too concerned about having a name on that, so I'm going to turn off the label. And so there we go. Now we're pretty much done. One thing I'm going to change here is the rounding. So I'm going to go to Options, Rounding. I'm going to go to 5 decimal places. You can see that changes that there. And I'm going to now label my axes in Graphics 2. And this is an important part of your communication and labeling your axes. So what does the x-axis represent? Well, it's distance x. In other words, we're calling x the distance from C to P, so that is x, and the units are kilometers. And then the y-axis, what does it represent? Well, it's the pipeline distance, and that's also in kilometers. Okay, so you can see we've got the axes name labeled there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some text boxes, or some text that's dependent on some of the things that we've created. So this helps with the visualization. So if I go here to ABC and I click in this area here, and this is going to be distance D. These are all important parts of your investigation. So what is D? Well, and then if I click on this distance D here, it connects it to that, and I go OK. Now I can create another one, and I'm going to call that one, that's going to be distance X equals, and then, well, X in the project is really the distance from C to P, which we've named B here. So I'm going to click on that. Okay, and drag that around here. Now, the other thing that I really want to see is I want to see, so that's the distance here, 4.92, good. And, okay, so that gives me that, and so that's the kind of information that I want to be able to see to investigate patterns. So if I change this here, now one of the things I want to be able to do is I want this to kind of output in a way that will be easy to read for the for this minimum point, and I think you'll understand once I do it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do something that's kind of tricky. I'm going to move this piece so this point gets out of the way. I'm going to click in the graphics area here. I didn't mean to do that again. Okay. Now, I'm going to create a perpendicular line that goes from this point and is perpendicular to the y-axis, and there you go. And then I'm going to create a point of intersection, which I can do in this menu here. Actually, it's this menu with the point here, intersect. And I'm going to find the point of intersection between the line and the y-axis, and there's that point right there. Now, if I find the distance between that basically gives me the point at which P should be in order to find the minimum. And so you're doing your investigation and you're lining this up, some of the problems we've been having is we haven't been able to get this to exactly the right accuracy. And that actually can be adjusted if you bring your axes out a little bit like that. But what I'm going to do is this. Instead, the distance x for the minimum, I'm going to measure that distance using this function here, and it's going to be this distance from here to here. And you can tell that it gives me this. So now I can right-click it, and I can click the Show Object, and that goes away. And then if I click in here and double-click, so instead of B, which is where that is, maybe I really want instead this distance here. So distance GF. And that tells me the minimum. Now I can make these guys disappear by clicking on them. So point G can disappear, and then this line here can disappear. Okay, and then this has got the information that you really want for your investigation. It's got the distance from C to D, and it's got the distance of X that makes it the minimum. And so what you want to do is, as you'll move this so that the little dot on the graph lines up right there, and then this will be a good visual representation of where the pump should be placed. And basically this is your output that corresponds to this minimized, this distance that minimizes pipeline. Now a couple other things before we finish up. I'm going to close this algebra pane. I'm going to close this graphics pane here, and I can adjust things so things kind of fit in my window well. There we go, that's nice and symmetrical. Another thing we can do, and this is really good to help for your report to see things more clearly, is I can go to font size, and let me change this to like 18, and you can see everything gets a little bit bigger. Actually, I'm going to change it a little bit bigger, maybe to 20. There we go. And I'm going to move this up a little bit and this up a little bit. And then what you can do is you can take screenshots of this area here. Oh, I'm also going to go here. I'm going to right click on that function H, and I'm going to turn the label off so that H isn't just there. Now you can take screenshots of like the screen just starting, in this area here, this rectangle, and you can throw them into your report. And again, this is all very interactive. So the investigation asks you to do things like, find where P should be placed to minimize distance, and you can kind of get it right there. It also asks what happens if you change the distance of C to D, which is called D here, and I can change that to 9. And you can see things change there. And then also, towards the end of the investigation, it asks you to investigate what happens if you change the distances of these guys. And you can see that changes the graph, and you can investigate with that. Okay, that's about all I can do. My time is about up, and now you have something to investigate with for your water pipelines task.